Hello, and welcome. I'm so excited today to be here because today, if you haven't met me before, I'm Emma Turton. I'm a medical intuitive and founder and director of Medical Intuition School. And today I have the great honor and pleasure of speaking to one of my graduates from Medical Intuition Practitioner Training. Jazmina Mba Gonzalez is joining us live from Virginia in the USA. And Jazmina also goes by the name of Jazzy, so you can interact with Jazzy on Facebook, on Instagram. You can connect with her. I'll share all of her links here for you. But what we're going to be speaking about today is what it's like to blend medicine with metaphysics in a deeply practical and professional way. So Jazmina is also a medical doctor as well as a medical intuition practitioner, among other incredible modalities and specialties and huge amounts of training that Jazzy's had. And she combines her work in the most beautiful sense. And I wanted to share with you her unique view of medical intuition and how it works, but also her experiences going through Medical Intuition Practitioner Training. Now, this is live. You are welcome to ask us questions as we go. I'm going to be connecting in with on my phone so that I can watch your questions as they come live. But I would love to ask you, Jazzy, thank you so much for being here, first of all. And I would love to ask you just to tell us a little bit about yourself. So if you can give us just a little bit of a, an idea of who you are and how you came to be here.
Sure. So, hello, everybody. My name is Jazmina, and as Emma said, I like to go by Jazzy. And as you're going to be able to tell during this interaction, I'm very animated, so that's probably why I go by Jazzy. So a bit about myself. I'm actually originally from Spain, and I immigrated to the States when I was younger. And I've always been fascinated by the human body and particularly surgery. As soon as I saw what surgery was, that was like my first love. I was like, oh my gosh, I have to be a surgeon. So that's kind of where my career took me. I went to medical school overseas in Europe. I went to specialty training in the UK. And when I came back to the United States, I found myself in a position where I was able to also look into kind of like the metaphysical aspects of the human body. And it was such an interesting journey for me to be able to understand the links between how the human body is just an extension of the metaphysical and that they're just so interrelated that there is no separation. And for me, the journey was very, very enlightening because I kept trying to separate the two. It's like, well, if science and medicine is one way, well, how am I going to bring the spiritual into that until it finally clicked that it's one and the same. It's exactly the same kind of world. It's just having that vision to finally put two and two together. It took me a little longer to understand. And that's kind of what led me to medical intuition. I've always wondered if there's a deeper way to connect with my patients just to be able to kind of streamline their the experience and interactions that I had with them. And after reading about Medical Intuition School and what it was all about, I was like, this is perfect. I can finally look beyond the physical and be able to understand both worlds, both what's going on energetically with the patients, as well as what are the physical manifestations of what's actually going on in their life. And that's how I popped in here and how I'm in front of everybody.
I love it. Thank you so much for that. And you're so right. I mean, any of us that have come from a health professional background have been taught that it's totally separate. And even, most people that have come from an energy healing background have also been taught that it's really separate. So it's a really unique position to be in, to actually be seeing the junction between the two and to actually, in truth, to see that it's not a junction, that they were never separate. They were never truly separate, that conventional health and alternative health were never separate, that spirituality and science were never separate, that medicine and metaphysics were never separate. and to be approaching your clients from that perspective is, radically different to how the health system's been built over the last 100 years, which to me is very exciting, because we've left this whole chunk out, and it's been left out of alternative medicine as well. It's been left out of energy healing too, because when we only look at the metaphysical, we're still just as one-eyed as if we only look at the physical. So it's about looking with both eyes to see the whole person, right? The whole being, the whole soul and person exactly as they are, and the journey they've been on to get here, and how that has influenced and contributed to what's going on in their body, in their life right now, what's showing up for them right now, right?
Absolutely. Yes. I completely agree, especially about the energy healing aspect, where that was one of the first avenues that I went to once I could really understand what was going on in terms of my ability to sense energy and the energy of those around me, and starting my journey and creating energetic boundaries around me. That's what a lot of the energy healing teachers would say. It's like, oh no, but you got to do this and that. And I was like, but that makes no sense. Why would I separate it? I have all of this knowledge. Why would we keep it separate? So being able to find this other world where I can just combine both of it, it really helped to supplement the energy healing and really gave me a lot of aha moments.
Yeah, and I love, Jazzy, you're the full package. So you have all the tools, you have all of the knowledge and all of the experience, and you're a profound intuitive as well. You are an amazing person to work with, in that you see right into a person, see right into their anatomy and physiology, you see right into their soul, their energy field, their metaphysical body. You can see right into that, and you can communicate what's happening within that person in the most beautiful way. I've had the absolute pleasure of being able to be read by you as well, and it's just a magical experience. I highly recommend it. I will be dropping the links to work with Jazzy down below, but to have that whole medical background behind you as well, and to not have that excluded, that knowledge of risks, that knowledge of red flags, that knowledge of the things that you want to be sending someone back to their general practitioner for, or their physician for, to just have tests, because you see people all over the world, right?
Yeah.
So it's that, to have those tests and things done, and you can even send them for them, no doubt. So it's a wonderful combination of tools, and it's often seen as, so medical intuition is often seen as being, perhaps woo-woo or really alternative, but I don't see it that way. Yes, there's some elements to it that may be unexpected or out of the ordinary for, a session with just a conventional health practitioner. For instance, we don't have big assessment forms. We don't do a great big assessment. We go in and we see inside a person, and we work out what's going on for them, and we let them know. They don't need to tell us what's wrong, right? And so it's a completely different shift. So tell me about the reasons why you wanted to dive into medical intuition. Was it around that assessment side of things for you?
I think it was a kind of a combination of that for the medical intuition. I felt that with the energy healing aspect, I was just not having enough information given my background. I was very curious about specific body parts and what that meant energetically. What does a limiting belief do to the heart? What does it do to the throat area? And I kept having these ideas of, okay, well, what about the organs? I mean, they have a whole system, and then you have the physiological systems in your body, and what about that? And so the medical intuition aspect of it gave me a deeper answer to understanding the meanings and the energetic implications of how a person is living. It really gave me that database to pull from, so that I know, when I do detect something in the body, or when I feel something coming up for the client, I know where to kind of weave the session and really nail down what really is going on as the root cause.
Yeah, and it's the root cause that makes the difference, right? It's the needle mover. if we don't focus on the root cause, if we just treat the symptoms, then, people might start to feel a bit better, but the problem goes deeper if we don't get the message. The problem shows up in other ways within the body, and our body is always speaking to us and giving us messages. So if we don't identify the root cause, the deeper meaning is why it's shown up now, then it can go deeper and manifest or show up in the body as something else. It can go to the thyroid, it can go to the hormones, it can go to the digestive system. It can, if it starts in the skin, it can go further in and become something more, disruptive to the life of the client or of the person. So if we find that deeper meaning, that root cause early, then we can aim for that. We can treat it in all the ways, not just, with the energy side of things. We can treat it with physical strategies as well, because then they have that opportunity to shift the pattern, to completely change it and not experience any of the other flow-on effects of health problems. And so I love that approach. I absolutely love that. You're welcome to ask questions if you're watching us live. Say hi in the comments so that we can interact with you. This is a fully interactive interview and chat, so come and join in the conversation. Excuse me. So tell me, what was life like for you before coming into Medical Intuition Practitioner Training? What were you doing then? And did you know that you were already intuitive? That's probably a really good place to start. Did you know before you came in that you would be able to do this work where we can actually, connect with people around the world and look inside people?
Looking back, I do believe that I was already intuitive, but because I did not know how to work with my intuition and how it presented in my body and in my life, and how it was one of the main leaders in my decision making, I didn't know that I was intuitive at that time. I just look back and I'm like, wait a minute, that was completely intuitive what I was tapping into. And that's kind of how I was living my life. I was trying to develop all of these, psychic abilities and, oh, let me see if I can be a little clairvoyant, not knowing that it can present itself in so many different ways. And it's just not one tunnel vision type of way. It's just multiple ways. It just depends on how it shows up for me, because my path is completely different from everybody else. And so I was living more of a life of researching and taking advice from others as to what the journey could be like, as opposed to really diving deep and asking myself, what does the journey look like for me? And that's why it was such a long stumbling block for me, because I would constantly think, okay, well, what's wrong with me? I didn't see pink butterflies in the sunset. I saw completely different, or I felt something completely different. And once I started on this path, this current path, that's when things really started to click of like, oh, I actually feel things in my body, or, oh, I actually feel, see, and hear things all at the same time. And this is what it looks like for me. And to be able to translate that as well to other people, especially when I'm having my sessions, has also been very important, because initially I kind of stumbled over my words because I could not really describe what I was feeling. And one of the things that I loved about the program is the confidence boost that I got of not doubting what was coming in anymore, and just coming out and saying, look, I'm hearing a Bee Gees song and this is what it sounds like, and this is the looping part. So I don't know what it means for me, and I don't know if it means anything to you, but if it resonates, please let me know. And I think that was one of the biggest perks of just letting myself really be in the flow of what I am perceiving with the client during a session, and just leaving a session saying, all right, that was awesome, I rocked it. Whereas initially I was very rocky and I was like, I don't know what I'm doing, I don't know if it worked, but I'm just gonna keep on trucking at this point.
Yeah, and I love that. You're so right, because when we try and learn medical intuition from books, and even, there's other courses in the world that teach it, and often they also will teach it in a way that you have to try and see it the way they see it. And that's one way of doing it. That's not how I do it, right? So you've experienced the way I teach it is for you to find how you are receiving specifically. And it could be very different to me, and that's totally okay, because what is meant to come through in the session will come through for the client. And so it's about learning about how you are intuitive and how you receive, and the ways that it falls in place for you, and to get that trust and that confidence to be able to keep stepping into the reading, even when you have no idea why you're receiving what you're receiving, because it's usually spot on for the person you're speaking to. You're not meant to necessarily have all the answers as to why you're receiving it. You're meant to just share them, and then share all of the other information that drops in around that to make beautiful sense of it. And so that's the thing. We often, and I was guilty of this myself many years ago as well, of reading the books and trying to use medical intuition in my own life, trying to hone my psychic abilities, trying to hone my skills in that way. And it is very limiting if we're trying to do it as it looks like for somebody else. Most of those books are wonderful, but they are based on what the author sees and perceives. They're not training you to learn how to tap into your own intuitive information, because everyone is different. We are all unique. Yes, there are different clairs, or ways of receiving, like clairvoyance, clairaudience, claircognizance, clairsentience, but there's a lot more than that, and there's a lot of variability about how they land in each individual person. And I think that's a really important part of it, that a lot of people have lost their confidence because they've done so much research, or they've done so much reading, or they've done so many courses that have been run in a way where you need to be able to see the pink butterflies. You need to be able to see, if you see the color green here, that means this. So, but if you don't see the color green and it lands in you as something totally else, it doesn't mean you're not seeing what's there. It means you need to work out how to correlate what you see and how you receive with the information that's in that person or in that body. And that's the difference. That's absolutely the difference, because you're not trying to force it to fit like somebody else, because then we're not trusting what we're receiving. When we don't trust what we received, we don't get more. We don't continue down that intuitive pathway, and it blocks the reading. So that's what we do in our live practice classes, right? And I love to see how you flourished as you started to trust and trust and trust and keep stepping down that path. You've just gone from strength to strength to strength with your readings to now having that pinpoint accuracy and that beautiful strength of intuitive connection, and the confidence to be able to share what's coming through, however it lands, even if it might be a Bee Gees song and seem quite silly. It can land in that way, and it can have a profound impact. And I've witnessed it many times in class, a profound impact on the person that you're speaking with, because it's exactly what they needed to hear, and they know exactly what it means. So what were your fears? This is something that I think is probably a good thing to speak about as well, is what were you most worried about as you came into the course? Was there anything in particular that before you came in, that you thought, oh, I really hope I don't do this, or I'm really worried about this part? What were you thinking as you came in?
Woo, man, yeah. Pinpoint it down, because as soon as I hit sign up, I was like, oh my God, what if list could have gone from here to the moon? But my top fears, as someone coming from a medical background, it's always, what if I'm wrong? What if what I do impacts the person that I am working with in a negative way, and it just stays with them forever? That was one of my biggest fears, of just being wrong, of people doubting what I say, of being seen in the medical world. That was another big fear of mine, because my intuitive side wasn't very much a topic that I discussed openly with other people in the field. So these were some of the issues that I was kind of going through as soon as I signed up. And then as the course went along, and as I started seeing, or I guess hearing, the feedback from other people and kind of the impact, and hearing things like, oh, that pain, yeah, it's not there anymore. I was like, all right, well, that kind of worked. And just seeing the changes in other people, that it wasn't on my negative, fearful side. Yes, they had a session that they remembered, that they absolutely loved and appreciated, and it wasn't because I ruined it for them. It was because I helped them find themselves within that session. And now, I mean, I have no problem talking about it at work. I'm like, hey y'all, I'm doing medical intuition. Are you interested? I even asked a couple of my coworkers when I was doing the case studies. I was like, let me explain to you what it is. And if you're interested, here's my number. And they seemed genuinely interested because they're like, I don't know what it is, but let's do it. So it's
Awesome.
just been the complete exact opposite of my fears in this entire journey. So I've been very, very happy.
Yeah, and you know, so much of that, I mean, that's a really common experience, is particularly for those who've come from a health background. But that's it, doesn't it show you how much of those fears are just the voice inside your head and not actually the reality out there of what's going to happen and how people will receive that information. I love that you're open about it at work. I love that that you asked some of your colleagues to be case studies as you were going through the course. I think that's a wonderful thing to do. And I think, just taking those action steps in themselves, of course, just pushes all of that fear of visibility and that fear of being seen at work out of the way, right? And it allows people to see all of you. And there's so much freedom when you get to actually show all of you and to be yourself in your work as well as, in your life. You get to be yourself in your work. You don't have to have this over here and this over here. It can be all. And I think that's one of the things we think we need to keep really separate. And we can't possibly mention it to these people because they'll think that it's ridiculous. They'll think that we're, I don't know, oh, good heavens forbid, unprofessional. Unprofessional is often the one that comes up, or not evidence-based, but we see the evidence. That's the thing. Yes, they haven't done enough studies on it yet, but there are some studies on medical intuition that's starting to actually come out, which I love. So the science is slowly catching up with us. But the thing is, the more work we do in the area, in the field, the more of our own evidence we see. And that's one of the things I love about the life practice classes in the course, is that it's the evidence that reassures you, but also informs you of just how powerful that connection is with another person, just how powerful they are to be able to drop symptoms like that, overnight or even quicker sometimes. And they may have been there for years and they can have a sudden change. And also how powerful you are in that interaction, that you are able to connect with them, that you are able to speak exactly what needs to be spoken and to hold that space for them in a way that they haven't been able to have with themselves or elsewhere, and shift, with some of the tools that I teach you, to shift what's going on within them, so that they can have a radical shift, a radical change in their situation, a radical change in their life for the better. And when you see that evidence over and over again, you start to go, yeah, I was right. That thing I thought, that thing I believed, that thing that I kind of knew to be true, but had never seen the evidence of. You've seen the evidence now. And once you've seen it, you can't unsee it. And that you can't hold that back from the world, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So good, so good. Now, when you were in the course, what was the part of it that you loved the most? Which part of it was the bit that you really enjoyed, like sinking your teeth into?
Because I'm a nerd at heart, for me it was the reading material. Finding out what is the meaning behind the foot, what is the meaning behind shoulders, what just going through. Thankfully, I think it was a little easier for me to learn the anatomy and physiology part of it, because I was like, I'm way ahead of y'all. So I was like, all right, I got a little cheat sheet in my brain, and so now I can just focus on the energetic part. And it was just that part of learning how the body represents certain aspects of your life. Like, for example, the feet. Things that you can ask yourself when you're having foot issues is, what path am I walking on? Do I feel like I'm walking on eggshells? Do I feel strong and grounded in my feet? And how that can kind of relate to what's going on in your life, and just finding these similarities between the symptoms and what is actually being affected by the body was just absolutely mind blowing for me, because when you read it, you're like, well, yeah, no, of course, it makes sense. Why did I think it was going to be anything more complex than, than what I'm actually reading now? So I just found it to be great information, and it was just so simple at the same time that it just immediately made sense to me.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing. It needs to be like, I'm a huge fan of it being practical and down to earth, because if it's not, then it's high level concepts that we can't really grasp, and it's very hard to put into practice. If it's not practical for us as a practitioner, it's not going to be practical for our client either. So we need them to have those practical tools that they can then shift things for themselves and continue that change after the session as well. But yeah, the reading material, I'll show you in case anybody's watching that. This is the student manual for Medical Intuition Practitioner Training. Just happen to have it nearby. So there's it's comprehensive. It's a comprehensive course. There's textbooks. There's other books alongside as well, and there's recommended readings too. But they're not a burden though, right? It's actually really good fun because it's the thing you're really interested in, and it really lights you up as you go through that part of the course.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, I just love the extra reading materials too, because they were so entertaining. A lot of beautiful diagrams. That was one of my concerns at first, when I was like, all right, it's going to be a pretty large book reading. And I just immediately got flashbacks to medical school and like tiny text and like hundreds of pages. I was like, oh, let's see what happens. But thankfully, it was just a complete opposite. Each book was just something that I just couldn't put down, because it was just so interesting, and you can really see the personality of the authors kind of shine through, and what their passions are for the subjects that we had to read. So it was really, really, it was entertaining. It was educational entertainment.
Edutainment.
Yeah,
Yes.
entertainment. Hey, you're going. You saw Guy Silent here live.
Yeah, I love that. And because, as you say, you found the anatomy and physiology bit, you're all over that, but it's in there, right? And it's everyone has their strengths within the course. That's what I've found, is that it's important to have all the information there and share all of the, in the content, in the curriculum. It's all there for you. But some people come in with strengths in the energy reading and the energy aspects of it. Some people come in with strengths in the physical anatomy and physiology part of it, and some people are new to both, but it's all there for you. It's a complete package in the course. And so it's totally okay if you think, I know nothing about that, or I've done that before. It's all going to be revision. Did it feel like tedious revision at all going through any of that for you?
Not at all, because since I work in the field of surgery, I work in a very specific part of the human body and a very specific specialty. So it was more like a refreshing experience. Because, and plus there was the fun little anatomy coloring book that was also part of the program. And I was like, where the hell is this? When I was in med school, we did not have any of those fun things. It's so
Right?
much easier to remember and learn when you're sitting there coloring a femur, instead of just looking at a bunch of tiny little labels. I was just remembering everything so much faster. It helped because I did it, but it was just so much more fun trying to pick out the colors that I wanted to color each bone in the leg, and it was just a completely different experience. It was a childlike wonder, to be honest. I was like, I'm having fun.
Yeah, and it should be fun. It should be fun, because we only really learn when we're having fun. If we're forcing ourselves through something, yeah, we might retain it for an exam, but it's really hard to actually take it in and embody the information. It's got to be fun. And I totally agree. Where the hell were those anatomy coloring books when we were training? I was like, oh, it would have been so much more fun doing it that way. I saw that, I was like, yes,
Yeah.
I can have this. So way more fun, and you can make it a rainbow. Oh, so good. So good. And was there a particular part of the course that you found challenging? What was the part that you, if there was one, was there a part that you found, difficult to get through?
Definitely when we started reading for other classmates, because I was just not used to reading for other people. With my energy healing sessions, I would have sometimes information come through, but it wasn't something that I would actively seek. So it had to be really loud in order for me to hear or sense that message. So when we transitioned that kind of reading style over to reading for classmates and then our case studies, that's when the doubts kind of started to creep in, and I was thinking, oh man, I hope I'm right, or I don't know if this makes sense. So finding my pace and finding how to navigate through my, I guess, psychic gifts that I have was one of the more challenging ones. And it was mostly because of trust. I just did not trust my intuition. Therefore, anything that came through, I was like, I don't know about that. And it just took me a little while to really start trusting the process.
Mm. Yeah, that trust is big, isn't it? It's such a big part of it. But there's a lot of live classes, and the good thing is everyone's pretty much in the same boat, unless they've got a lot of experience doing intuitive reading in general, like a general intuitive reading. But then they usually don't trust their knowledge of anatomy and physiology, and they don't trust the other stuff. So they have to wrestle with other demons. Whereas, yeah, it is that taking those steps and knowing that you're going to land. And that you are intuitive. We often have been, dampened down through our lives. We're all born intuitive beings, but we often forget that as a part of the, our upbringing as we grow up. We've got Christine watching with us. Hi, Christine. And hi, Olivia. Olivia's watching too. Olivia says,
Yay,
love the reading. Yay. Another medical intuition practitioner in the house. You're welcome to ask questions if you're watching us live. You can, or if you're watching the replay as well, you're welcome to ask questions, and Jazzy will be around. I will also be around. We can answer your questions after the event as well, but we're more than happy to have the conversation opened up to the audience. And now that you've graduated, now that you are a fully qualified medical intuition practitioner, as well as a medical doctor and energy healer and all of the other awesome things that you are, who do you work with now?
So at the moment, I love to work with people that are interested in just finding that spark of joy in their life. The way that I work is, as you can see, I'm very lively. I love to laugh. I'm a self-proclaimed goofball. And I found that that is kind of my superpower and my talent. I can help people find that childlike wonder and energy inside of them. So people that feel stuck, people that kind of feel like they lost their inner power, I like to kind of guide them back to that inner power and to help them realize that no, you're not stuck. You don't have anything wrong with you. And there is a completely fun and uncomplicated way of us together finding your inner power, bringing it all back to you. And what I always like to say is, if I can help somebody with my session and the tools we use they can use on their own, it's one of the biggest gifts for me as an intuitive, because that means that that person is really stepping back to their authentic self and they're able to live their life the way they want to lead, instead of being surrounded by the noise and being distracted. It's always about the person and what they want to do and how they want to express themselves in their lives.
Mm-hmm. I love that. I love that, because that's the thing. We often think that people may think that we want to, drag them along a particular spiritual path or something like that. And that's not actually how it works at all. It's about actually finding your inner truth, or finding, your own soul path, getting deeply connected with your own intuition as a client as well, and to start to really tap into the messages coming through your body and through your intuition that are guiding you each day, right? And so much of that is about accessing that inner child. So much about that is accessing that childlike sense of wonder, that joy again, which is our natural state. That is our soul state. That is, it's not serious. It's not a serious place. And no matter how serious our health condition may be, when we access that aspect of ourselves, it can have a huge shift within our physiology. It has a flow-on effect to every single system of the body. And it can have a massive flow-on effect to our level of health and enjoyment in life, right?
Absolutely. I mean, I've gone through my fair share of health issues, and the times that I felt absolutely no pain after surgery or whatever injury I had, when I was laughing, it was like it didn't even exist. And I was in another completely different world. When I was doing something that I loved, it is like the day went by extremely quickly, and I wasn't in this space of pain and fear and recovering. So it was just a completely different world. And those moments are when I had the times where I felt just so deeply connected to who I am as a person and how I want to live my life, and just making it very simple, very fun, and again, authentic, because I just love to laugh. I love to laugh. And that is something that I would like to bring into the lives of other people. Find that laughter, find what makes you be your own stand-up comedian, even if you're by yourself in the house and you tell yourself corny jokes out loud. It's your thing. Who cares? No one's going to hear you. Maybe your cats do. They're not going to judge you. So it's fine.
I don't know. I think my cats are always judging me.
It's their natural state. It's their natural absolute state. Thank goodness they cannot talk, or at least I don't hear them talking. Otherwise, can't be bothered. They can give me the side eye all they want. I'm still going to ignore them.
I love it. Oh, I love it. I love it. And it's so true. It can have such a big effect on pain. It can have such a big effect on so much within the physiology. It can change our cells when we experience laughter. I mean, people say laughter is medicine, but it's more than that. It actually deeply shifts our physiology. It deeply shifts our physical makeup. And it's just so much more enjoyable to be a goofball than it is to be super serious all the time, right? I love your skating accounts. If you start to follow Jazzy on Instagram, she does also have an awesome skating account. So you may be able to hook up with her there. She does a cross share from her business account. Or you're welcome to share your skating account in the comments after the show as well. I love that. I absolutely love that. And so one final question for you. What would you say to someone who is considering joining Medical Intuition Practitioner Training?
I would say that trust is your biggest fan. That this trust goes into a level that you cannot even imagine would be arriving in your life. Because not only do you get to know yourself a lot more intimately, but you also get to realize how you interact with others and the impact that you can have with other people. And just seeing how that relationship with your classmates, with you, your future clients, how those relationships are the same thing and are so connected and they last for forever, is such an important part of that trusting process. Because when you're getting to know that intuitive part of yourself and getting to know what is that niche or that thing that makes you connect with other people, you're also living as part of your most authentic self. And when you trust your authentic self, I mean, it is just, you're just like a rocket through this life and through this world. Everything just seems a little bit easier, less challenging. And if you do have challenges, they don't have that ability to just consume you and take over your life. You see them as things that are happening for you, and you're able to kind of step back from it and say, all right, I trust my intuition. I trust that of the path that I am on. let's have a look at this and see how this is supporting me in this situation. So it extends beyond the school. It's something that really, really, truly affects your life and your relationship with others.
Yeah, so it changed your life, right?
Yeah, life changing.
Life changing. Yeah, and in the best possible way. And I think that it's not just another course. And I think that's the thing that, perhaps I don't speak enough about, but it's not just another course with just another training. It's a completely, it internally shifts everything for you and completely changes your whole outlook. It completely changes everything about your life. It's a deep personal and spiritual growth program, as much as it is, a curriculum that teaches you how to do professional medical intuition. It's so much more than that, because it's experiential, and that continues with you. So what's life like for you now?
Now like I said before, I have a lot more trust in my life. I have a lot more confidence in expressing who I am on the inside and just accepting my goofball self, and that this is who I am and what I do. I have a daily self-care routine that is centered around tapping into my intuition and into that ability for me to trust what's going on around me. And I'm able to really take a step back in challenging situations now and just take a breath and not immediately react. Does that happen every time? No, because I'm still working on myself. It is called a journey for a reason. But I feel so much calmer knowing that my world is not really imploding. It's just kind of where my mind is at the moment. And if I just tap into that little intuitive part of myself that says, it's okay, it's not really that big of a deal, then everything's fine. Because I have those experiential memories of what it was like to be completely aligned with my intuitive self and working with my authentic soul self. So I know it's there. So even though I got knocked off of the tracks for a little bit, I remember what it's like, and I remember how to get back there no matter what.
Yeah, and that's just priceless. That's absolutely priceless, isn't it? Because that's the thing, life keeps coming. Thank goodness. but it does keep coming, and it not, there's this belief that we have to have, everything done. We have to be fully healed. We have to have all our ducks in a row. We need to be all sorted and before we do the thing. And it's never going to happen. I hate to be the bearer of I don't know if it's bad news, but the truth, we're never going to have it all sorted. We're never going to have it all together. We have to actually start walking the path and not sitting still, frozen, waiting for it all to sort itself out, because life keeps coming, and more things. There'll be more ducks that we can't get in the row that won't line up with the others. There'll be more stuff that comes in, more physical stuff, more family stuff, more friend stuff, more mental stuff, more of the stuff comes in, and life keeps happening. And so if we wait for it all to be right, we're waiting for the rest of our life. So it's about not waiting anymore and just taking inspired action, and then having the tools to be able to take those steps and to have that support and to know what is true for you. And like you say, you've had that experience of the truth. You've had that experience of just how deeply connected you are, of just how loved you are, of just how whole you are. And it's about being able to come back to that place and go, well, I can see what's happening here. I can do this. This is just something that's come up. I go back into my tools and I can work through this. I love that. That's so beautiful. So thank you for sharing that with us.
You're most welcome.
And is there anything else that you would like to add? We haven't got any questions in the comments, but is there anything else that you would like to add before we finish up?
No, I think I'm pretty good. This was a great conversation. It was a lot of fun. And, to all the viewers that are going to tune in during the replay, I thank you so much for watching this. And I hope you start trusting or at least investigating and looking into your intuition, because it can be a wild but very fun ride.
Yeah, it's fun. It's fun. That's exactly right. And it takes you to new places. And I just love it. I wouldn't have life any other way than this. which is so cool. So cool. Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing your time with us and for coming and speaking with me today about this and about your experiences. I deeply appreciate it, and I deeply appreciate you. If you're watching this, please go and connect with Jazmina. You can connect with Jazzy on Facebook, on Instagram. I've dropped the links into the comments below this. And you can also check out her website, which is shiny and new, has just been redone. That's really cool. I love your website. It's so cool. Makes me want to redo mine. So go and check out all the places and follow her. And, if you get the opportunity, work with Jazmina as well, because it is life-changing. It really is. And she's not just a medical doctor and medical intuition practitioner. I haven't even mentioned that you're also an incredible artist and a freaking mind-blowing singer as well, a musician. Like, that isn't even come into this, and yet it's huge. And so that can all come into a large part of your reading. So they're very unique and just mind-blowing, and will change your life and your health at the same time. So do check her out and follow her there. If you are interested in medical intuition practitioner training, I'm taking final enrollments for this year's intake now. So now is the only time that you can get in this year. So if you haven't had your interview with me, then please book in and have your interview. I will also drop the link to download the course prospectus below, so that you can download that and have a look at what's in the course and work out whether it's right for you. But once you've done that, book in your interview with me. There's only a couple of places left in my interview schedule. So there's a little bit of time. We start orientation next week, and then in 2 weeks we start rolling out the content for the awesome course itself. So there's a little bit of time for you to get in. If you haven't done the prerequisite, speak to me and we will work out a way for you to do it, perhaps alongside the other content. So it's not a reason to not get in this year. So please do book in and speak with me. And if you have any questions at all about the course or about Jazmina or about medical intuition in general, I'm more than happy to answer them for you. So please don't hesitate to reach out or to post your comment in the question in the comments below. Thank you so much for joining us live, to all those who have joined us live, and thank you for watching the replay. If you've watched the replay this far, I deeply appreciate you, and I hope you have a beautiful rest of your day. Thank you so much, Jazzy, for being with us, and thank you for being so generous with your time and for taking the time to speak with me. Thank you
so much. Thank you.
Okay, I hope you have a beautiful day, everyone. Bye now. I can find the place to turn it off. Every video ends the same. Where is the place to turn it off? Oh, here it is. Bye, everyone.
All the buttons.